What's up, people? It's your man, Urban Lover, coming from your mama's basement, baby. Reporting live and direct. Not just in the basement, but in the sewers with the rats. And I'm being chased right now as we speak. And you're asking, like, why are you so calm? Because I don't want it to find me. What is it? Luol Deng. He's back. He's back, guys. He's scoped me out. He knew I've been talking about him. He's pissed off. He said he's gonna prove me wrong because I've been making funny parodies about him, how bad he been this season. But scratch all that. Listen. All right, Luol Deng. This is an article that came out. This is from SB Nation. I want to basically, I'm gonna read the article to you guys, and I want you guys to chime in and you tell me what you think. You know, based on the article, and I'm gonna give you my opinion as well. And I think most of you guys already know how I feel. But anyway, let's get to it. So this is an article, like I said, from SB Nation. And it's from no other than my man, Harrison Fagel. I follow him on Twitter. Me and him just chop it up back when I was on Twitter. And for all those that send me messages on Twitter, if I have responded to you guys, please forgive me. I just been real busy. I don't have my Twitter set up to my my cell phone because I use my cell phone for a couple of the different businesses that I run. So I don't really try to be on it as much, but I usually use Twitter basically when I'm in the house on my desktop or my laptop. So I don't usually use it while I'm out on the field in the field working. So if you're leaving me a message, please forgive me. I'm definitely gonna get back to you guys. But anyway, this article, like I said, was by Harrison Fagel, and this say Lakers news. Luol Deng say he's determined to shut up his critics next season. I guess I'm one of the critics because I was the main one that's actually beating up on him. I mean, at the beginning of the season, like I said before, you know, I was happy that they picked him up, but as the season went on, I started coming hard on him, and some of the fans on my channel was like, come on, man, you're too hard on Luol Deng. Then eventually they started seeing what I was seeing, and they said, oh, yeah, you're right, Urban. He got to get the hell out of here. No disrespect to Luol Deng. You know, like I said, kudos to you and your agents first and foremost, because at the end of the day, y'all got the best deal out of it. You got some good freaking agents. And if the Lakers were smart, or if some of the NBA players were smart, I'll go get the agents you got. Reason why I say that, because who in their right mind would sign somebody for a 4-year guaranteed contract with no clause in between it? Let's be real. Your agents did a good job. They got you what you needed. You know, so in reality, you can sit on the bench the next 3 years and don't play and still get paid. So don't be upset. You know, do your thing, baby. You know, collect that money. I ain't mad at you, man. You know, hey, listen, Jim Buss and freaking Kupchak, they the ones made that decision to give you all that money. So, hey, it is what it is. You got what you got out of the deal. So, anyway, let's get into the article. When the Los Angeles Lakers signed Luol Deng to a 4-year contract worth $72 million free agency last summer, the hope was that he could solidify the team wing rotation with solid defense and three-point shooting, all while providing a professional presence in the locker room. Deng did the latter for the Lakers, providing sage advice for his young teammates and an example of how to be a professional, but his average of 7.6 points and 5.3 rebounds while shooting 38.7% from the field and 30.9% from the three-point range hardly screamed max contract player. I want to backtrack a little bit because I'm just going to intercept some of these comments. And SB Nation, don't take it personal, but I'm going to be real with you guys. Because see, this is where I always call like some of these sites bias. Because number one thing that I can say that Luol Deng did provide for us is defense. I might have been critical on him, might have been making jokes about him, but I always gave him props on his defense. I say he played pretty good defense. Now, the professional part of teaching the young teammates how to be professional, I think that's like a little bit, adding a little bit spice to it. Me personally, I said it before and I said it again, and I can go all the way back in the video where Luke Walton said on Lakers Nation, he said that Mozgov and Luol Deng are like the type of teammates that will put their arm around your shoulder and say, nice game, don't worry about it, we'll get you again. They don't have that fire like Kobe. And I understand why, because neither one of these guys, well, besides Mozgov, he did win a championship, but let's be real, who ran that team in Cleveland? And then we go to Luol Deng in Chicago. Who ran that team in Chicago? Luol Deng, to me, was always the quiet one. He really didn't say too much. He probably said stuff, but he wasn't really the one that came out like that fire, that energy to motivate them guys to the next level. And you can see as of this season, you know, he might have came and played his game defensively wise, but he didn't motivate these guys to propel them to, you know, to what they should have been this year. Because in reality, the Lakers should have won 30-plus games. I say it over and over again. We won 25. We was only 5 games off, man. That was just bad rotation, a whole lot of other stuff. But all of them were rookies, and that's why I thought that Luol Deng and Miles would actually give them a lifting hand. But you can't expect too much from two guys who really weren't leaders on their own teams before they came to LA. All right, let's get back to it. The 12-year veteran was excused from his exit interview with the Lakers last week, but an interview with Tania Ganguli, please, if I butcher that name, please forgive me. I speak urban dialect, of the Los Angeles Times from right before the season end. Deng made it clear he wasn't thrilled with the way his season went and that he is more than aware of the criticism of the contract the Lakers signed him to. Listen, like I said before, I'm not worrying about the contract. I know for a fact. See, one thing about me, I'm not like a lot of fans, we're going to, cry and complain about the contract. I just said that the Lakers went by wrong because, number one, they didn't really look around. They just heard him threw the money out there. They were desperate because they were afraid that nobody would sign with them after the 3-year stint of nobody wanting to come here. They had to, according to the CBA, they had to get rid of 90% of the money. Luol Deng agents knew this. They jumped on it and they took the money and ran with them. The reason why I said that, because if you look at Joe Johnson down in Utah, he got way less of money. And look what he's doing now. Joe Johnson's more of a leader to Utah than Luol Deng is to these Lakers. But that's just me. That's how I look at it. I think Joe Johnson's a much more leader. Simple as that. I mean, he was a pretty good leader there in Brooklyn. Not so much Phoenix because that was Steve Nash and Stoudemire. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not knocking Deng. I'm not knocking him at all. But anyway, like I said, all right, let's get back to the article. All right, and this is what Luol Deng said. There's a bitter taste in my mouth, Deng said. I just got to come back with a chip on my shoulder. This year started to build a fire inside of me. I don't tell people a lot of times because I carry on not being as competitive. But I got a lot of people to shut up next year. Listen, I carry on not being competitive. Isn't this a competitive sport? See, this is... See, sometimes people got to really watch what they say. He said, I don't tell people a lot of times because I carry on not being competitive. This is a competitive sport. You're supposed to be competitive in inside out. This is the thing, goes back to what I just said earlier about him and Moscow not being mentors to these players. Now, they probably be guys that try to keep these young guys out of trouble. But when they come on the court, mentorship, nah. I just don't give it to him. I'm sorry. I just don't give it to him because I didn't see it in him. You just could tell. They stood back and let Julius Randle, Russell, and all them guys run the floor. They didn't really voice their opinion. Brandon Ingram was the youngest person on the floor, but yet he had more to say than Mas and Luol Deng. But anyway, let me get to it. And then he said, I feel like I worked very hard coming into the season and continue to work hard. Deng said, it was just one of those, just the way the team was made up and having to learn so much, I had a hard time trying to be consistent in the system. Now, I usually be critical of Luke Walton, but here I'm going to defend Luke. This guy said it was just one of those, just the way the team was made up and having to learn so much, I had a hard time trying to be consistent in the system. Here's my problem here. During the time Ingram was struggling, remember they was giving Ingram a lot of time, but they still at the beginning of the season were giving Luol Deng a lot of minutes, and he was struggling through those minutes. For him to say that, the way the team was made up and having to learn so much, then Luke Walton said that he's not going to teach the triangle offense based on the fact these guys are not ready for it. So he was just basically doing basic set offense. It wasn't nothing really hard. Luol Deng just was flat. Simple as that. Luol Deng was the poor man Kobe based on when Kobe had all the injuries. When Kobe was just shooting flat and all that. That's what Luol Deng looked like. He was like the poor man Kobe out there. And nothing knock on Kobe. But Luol Deng just didn't give us nothing on offense. Defensive wise, yeah, but he just looked flat. His arc wasn't there. He couldn't get off his feet. It's just a lot of things. You can't blame the system for bad output on offense, dude. A lot of your shots were wide open. You just couldn't finish. A lot of layups wide open. You couldn't finish. You couldn't finish high around the rim. You couldn't even get up. So for you to sit there and say that it was just one of those, just the way the team was made up. You play small forward like they put you at power forward. I mean, look at Miami. Was that the excuse that you made with Miami when Chris Bosh went out and they moved you to power forward? No, instead you stepped up and you stepped to the table. You actually produced. You stepped up and you actually played better at power forward. You know what I'm saying? So in reality of it, is you saying that, based on the fact that we didn't have you at power forward is the reason why you didn't score? I can't feel that because, number one, they brought you in as to be a small forward, and they brought you in because you was a shooter and a good defender. That's what it was. You were wide open, a lot of shots, you just didn't hit them. And I had a hard time trying to be consistent in the system. You trying to blame the learning you having to learn so much and just the way the team was made up that you had a hard time trying to be consistent in the system. No, that don't fly, buddy, because he gave the green light to a lot of guys and you were one of them. And you just, a lot of times you wouldn't take shots because you ain't had confidence in your shot. Many times you was wide open. You look like Larry Nance up there, when Larry Nance wasn't taking jump shots, when he was wide open, you were doing the exact same thing. Wide open shots, you'll miss like 2 or 3 shots, and you'll still get a pass from D'Angelo or Julius where you wide open. You just wouldn't take the shot. So don't blame Luke Walton's system. Blame yourself, my friend. I'm just being honest with you. Blame yourself. Anyway, Dean just turned 32 years old, and with 30,536 minutes on his odometer, many players in Tom Thibodeau insanely active defense system with the Chicago Bulls, which aged players in Doug years, it seemed unlikely he's due for a hug bounce back season. I think they both say huge, but they say hug bounce back season. However, there are some signs that Dean may not be as bad as he looked. The Lakers were actually 1.2 points per 100 possession better with Deng on the floor, and Denver was more stark defensively, where he improved the Lakers' effort by 3.5 points per 100 possession. Some of that improvement is just Deng primarily being replaced by Brandon Ingram, who, despite all the promise he showed, was still a net negative player for the majority of his debut campaign. While Deng will in all likelihood never fully live up to the expectation most fans have for a player on a deal of his size and length, with another year in Lakers head coach Luol Deng's system on his belt and a determination to prove his critics wrong, he might just be able to positively impact the Lakers next season. Now, based on that alone, me personally, y'all know how I feel. I say, package him up and get him out of there. And this ain't nothing to knock on Deng. I just think that as going forward, we need to move forward and start letting go some of these loose baggages. Listen, we got Brandon Ingram. I would like to bring Corey Brewer back. And if we, like I said, then you got Nick Young. If they keep Nick Young, so you got a lot of guys that can play the small forward spot. And I don't know what the Lakers might do this offseason. I don't know if they might make a desperate move to get PG-13, but it's going to be too many guys at small forward. We already deep at power forward, so we got to start bringing in players that we can really count on. Veteranship, guys that's going to come through in the clutch, play good defense. And like I said, I'm not locking Luol Deng this defense, but I think for that $72 million, we can get a couple other players for that. And plus, on top of that, you got to keep in mind when these young guys, when these young guys contracts start falling off, we got to start paying them. So somebody like Luol Deng, and then if we get PG-13, that's another big contract. If we get DeMarcus Cousins, that's another big contract. We're not going to have no money to sign on these young guys. So we got to look at it from a future perspective. Not knocking Luol Deng, but I just think that Luol Deng healthy. Now, if this guy was making probably with what my guy was making, I wouldn't have no problem with it. But he's making $72 million for 4 years. And everybody was complaining about Kobe, making $30 million for 2 years. No, the front office did that because they knew for a fact that this team is going to be a sinking ship for a couple years to come. That's why they hired Byron Scott, for those that continue to hate Byron Scott, because they only brought Byron Scott in to get the draft picks. They used Kobe in order to fill up the seats. They did a good business move from Jim Buss and Kupchak. The only bad move they did is these 4-year long-term guaranteed contracts. But they knew that they had to get, they signed Kobe because they knew that the next 2 years after Kobe was gone, or before Kobe thought about retiring, they knew that the CBA was going to raise the bar for the money to give to the players. So they went on and reward Kobe and say, listen, here's the money. I want you to fill the seats up. And that's all Kobe did, was just fill the seats up. That's the reason why Kupchak came out and said that the young guys are taking a backseat to Kobe, because Kobe's job was to come in and fill them seats up while they build the team up while Kobe was there. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. So all I'm saying at the end of the day is this: the Lakers need to really pack Luol Deng up. There's too many guys at small forward. If we keep our draft pick, if we don't get Lonzo Ball, and we wind up getting Jackson, that's another small forward. Tatum, another small forward. So right now at this point in time, I just think that they should package them up, with a couple players, some more like Black, Enos, throw Enos in there, sign him and throw Enos in there if you want to, and the draft pick if you want to, and see what we can get for it. But at the end of the day, that's what I would do. But this your man Urban Lover. Like, share, subscribe. I want you guys to get a comment section. I want y'all to tell me what you think. You think that we should package him up, or let him redeem himself and come back next year? Me personally, let the young guys run, and package them up and get them out of here. Because if they going to bring PG-13 in, there's no point in having Luol Deng on a 4-year contract. That's just ridiculous to me. Because then you got Brandon on PG-13 and Luol Deng, unless they decide to move Ingram, and I hope they don't do that. But I don't know what the Lakers front office might do. They want a superstar, but we got to remove Luol Deng. With that being said, y'all take care, have a blessed day, and definitely, most of all, be safe out there.